Welcome to The Explainer. So, today we're unpacking a really fascinating and honestly kind of mysterious phenomenon happening right now at the intersection of tech and literature. When we think about the booming AI industry, we usually picture massive data centers, cloud computing, invisible digital networks, right? All very high-tech and intangible. But critics are sounding the alarm about a shocking, incredibly physical, and totally hidden cost behind this digital revolution. It turns out, building the future of technology is the exact reason why AI companies are physically destroying books. They are literally dismantling pieces of our past.
Okay, let's dive into this, because it is wild. Right now, there are reports that millions of physical books are just being actively removed from circulation. We're talking massive volumes of literature quietly being swept up by third-party middlemen. These anonymous buyers are acquiring vast libraries of texts, and rather than, preserving them or reselling them, they are sending them straight to destruction. Which obviously begs a really jarring question. Why on earth are millions of physical books being shredded?
Well, the answer lies with the very companies building our digital future. Tech giants are actually buying up these physical books, and yes, that includes rare and out-of-print titles, specifically to feed data into their AI programs. To make an AI model smarter or more articulate or just more capable, it needs to consume a massive amount of text. And as it turns out, these companies have decided that the absolute best way to get that high-quality text is by acquiring real physical books, digitizing them, and then completely destroying the original copies. And the way they do this brilliantly illustrates the brutally industrial mechanics behind this whole digital frontier. This is not some archivist gently turning pages over a glass scanner. No, the process is a highly efficient, destructive assembly line. Step 1 is the bulk purchase, usually through those third parties to avoid a PR nightmare. Step 2 involves heavy machinery. They use hydraulic cutters to violently slice the spines clean off the books. In Step 3, all those loose, individual pages are fed through high-speed scanners. And finally, Step 4, the physical remnants of the book are just tossed straight into a shredder. Now you might be wondering, wait, why not just put the books back together once they're scanned? Well, Sultan Megji, the CEO of Frontier Foundry Corporation, explains the cold economic reality perfectly. He notes that destructive scanning is just faster and far, far cheaper. Think about it. Once you slice off a spine, you're left with millions of loose sheets of paper. Taking that immense pile and reassembling it, that simply is not in the business model of an AI lab. Doing so would require incredibly expensive robotics to package and rebind the pages, and the financial incentive to justify that extra cost just doesn't exist. So because of that bottom line, the shredder becomes inevitable.
But this brings us to a much deeper mystery. We live in an age where there are literally billions of pages of text readily available on the internet. So why are these cutting-edge tech companies spending significant time and money to secretly acquire old, physical books? Like, what do these dusty pages possess that the vast, easily accessible digital ocean of the internet doesn't?
It all comes down to a desperate search for pristine, verifiable human data. Think about the stark contrast here. Physical books published before the year 2022 offer a crucial guarantee to tech companies. They are 100% written by humans. Before 2022, we know from an absolute fact that a human author sat down and wrote those words, rather than a machine. On the flip side, the post-2022 internet is becoming heavily contaminated. AI labs are desperately trying to avoid training their brand new models on data that was already generated by an older AI model.
Sultan Megji offers this truly mind-blowing historical analogy to explain what's going on here. He points out that ever since the first atomic bomb detonations in 1945, all newly produced steel in the world is actually slightly radioactive. So when engineers need pure radiation-free steel for highly sensitive machinery, what do? They literally go and dredge the ocean to harvest steel from ships that sank before 1945. And AI companies are doing the exact same thing with books. They are scavenging for uncontaminated pre-2022 human data to ensure they have a pure foundation of information. It's a real-world treasure hunt for pure data.
What they are specifically trying to avoid is what critics and technologists have started calling AI slop. Basically, this is the low-quality, artificially generated content that has just completely flooded the internet over the past couple of years. If an AI trains on AI slop, its own outputs degrade. It's the classic garbage in, garbage out problem. So to keep their models highly capable and natural sounding, tech companies are spending massive amounts of money to bypass that digital slop entirely and go straight to the guaranteed human source, old physical books.
So what does this all mean? How does this bizarre data harvest impact the real world? Well, for everyday people, particularly small booksellers, this trend is a total double-edged sword. On the pro side, some sellers have reported going from a modest,
20 sales a week to suddenly selling thousands. Moving 10,000 books in a single day clears our dead inventory and provides this massive, immediate payday. But the cons are severe. This is a finite, non-repeatable business model. Once those books are sold and shredded, that inventory is gone forever.
McG captures this long-term danger perfectly with an agricultural metaphor. He says it's like selling the seed corn but not being able to replant the corn afterwards. It's obviously great for these small businesses from a short-term financial perspective, but at the end of the day, it's just a single sale. You're cashing out the very foundation of your business, and because those texts are being physically destroyed, they can never re-enter the market for a future sale.
Which leads us to a much, much deeper concern. Look, if we are talking about a mass-market paperback you'd pick up at the airport where there are millions of copies in print, experts aren't really concerned at all. That's a negligible issue. But what happens when rare books are swept up in this data harvest? If a buyer purchases a batch of 1,000 books, and 5 of those titles are incredibly rare with only a few existing copies left in the world, the destruction of those texts becomes a very real, severe cultural crisis.
So, the absolutely crucial point is this. Critics are warning that we are heading toward a future where original texts are destroyed, leaving a significant portion of human history and knowledge locked entirely behind an AI paywall. If the physical copies of a rare book no longer exist, you won't be able to just go read the source material yourself. Instead, you'll be forced to rely on an AI vendor's paid, generated interpretation of our shared history.
To emphasize just how seriously experts view this potential privatization of knowledge, Meiji delivers this incredibly heavy historical framing. He actually draws parallels back to before the Protestant Reformation. That was a time when everyday people weren't allowed to read the Bible in their own spoken language and instead had to rely entirely on the interpretations of an elite few. By destroying original source material just to train proprietary AI models, critics argue we risk returning to an era where our access to our own cultural history is gate-kept by a handful of tech vendors.
It really forces us to ask a monumental question as we wrap up this explainer. Are we trading our physical past to build our digital future? While AI promises these unprecedented leaps in technology, the hidden cost involves literally shredding the verifiable human-written artifacts of our history just to feed the machine. It's a really complex issue, definitely without easy answers, but it completely changes how we look at the books sitting on our shelves right now and the digital tools we use every single day. It's a heavy thought for sure, but one we all need to ponder. Thanks for joining me for this explainer, and I'll catch you next time.